Over on BBC Two in a few moments, they'll be asking what lessons the floods have taught Britain. But now on BBC One, it's time for the news where you are. Good night.
Good evening. Two more families who lost children after heart surgery have come forward to express their concerns about their care at the Bristol Children's Hospital. This follows Friday's announcement that there's to be an inquiry into several deaths of children over recent years. Tonight, the hospital maintains its results are safe and it will be cooperating with the review. Our health correspondent Matthew Hill reports.
Daddy's little boy.
This is the only video taken of Harley Pascoe in the days before he died, when he was just 12 days old. It's treasured by his parents, who to this day are still searching for answers as to why. They say his operation last October was cancelled 5 times because there were no intensive care beds available at the Bristol Children's Hospital. And his parents, Daniel and Lee, say by the time he was given surgery, his condition had deteriorated.
No one ever said it was urgent when we were at the hospital. It wasn't until he had an echo a day before they actually did his operation, and they noticed that the duct in his heart was closing up, so they had to double his dose of drugs to keep it open, and that's when he became an emergency and was then operated on the next day.
The guy doing the echoes said to us, when he seen Harley after he was born, he said he wanted him to be operated on in a couple of days. But when we seen him recently, he said that he was shocked. Well, not shocked, he was surprised that it took 12 days to operate, but he didn't know about it.
The family say they've been told by the hospital that in the first operation, an implant called a shunt had dislodged, so Harley had to be operated on again. He died 8 hours later. The hospital say Harley was not considered urgent at the time, which is why other children with more serious conditions had to be seen first. Another recently bereaved couple joined us. They happen to live just a few miles away. Stephen Snelson and his partner Vicky lost their daughter Mia-Leigh last July when she was just 11 days old. But still, they say, they've heard nothing from the hospital.
I don't know what I should be doing because no one's explained to me. No one's told me what's going on.
You think you should have more support from the hospital to explain what goes on?
Yeah, they promised us they'd be here for us forever now. They said, Mia will always be part of our, like one of our patients. We'll always be at the end of the phone. We'll keep in touch with you. And I've heard nothing.
The hospital says it has written to the family but hasn't heard back yet. Last Friday, the medical director of the NHS announced an inquiry into the heart unit and some of the recent deaths. In his review, Sir Ian Kennedy will no doubt be looking into these issues of communication as well as the treatment given. The hospitals say they always strive to give the best possible care, and they're saddened that this group of families feel let down. They do point out, though, that a recent survey shows that 98% of parents feel that they've been given excellent or good care. These families hope this new inquiry will get to the bottom of what happened. Matthew Hill, BBC Points West, Bristol.
Work to shore up the banks of a Somerset river had been going on all day as part of efforts to try and restart the pumping operation to clear the levels. The high-volume Dutch pumps had to be switched off after only a couple of days because they were eroding the bank of the River Parrett. Scott Ellis reports.
At full blast, 2 tons of water tumbles out of each of these pipes every second. It's dug a hole in the banks of the River Parrett at Dunball so big, pumping has had to stop. It's hoped metal containers will now help absorb the impact.
What's happening now is a big job to put in crushed concrete and stone, amongst other things, to dissipate the energy that's coming out of each of those pipes.
So those containers are going to be lifted into the hole?
That's right, and that's what the cranes are being put on site for now. They'll go in today, and we hope to resume pumping later today in time for the high tide this evening.
The crumbling mud banks have meant the world's biggest mobile pumping operation has had to stop for 48 hours.
Well, they can't afford too much more in the way of delays to that Dutch pumping operation, and here's why. This is the River Parrett just above Boroughbridge. It's been spilling over its banks here at Stave for weeks now. They need to get those pumps online because this is still all going to take many, many weeks to shift.
The sooner river levels drop, the sooner dozens of other smaller pumps can restart work. A new distribution centre opened today near Bridgewater for flood victims. Martin Brooksbank, who's holding on in Moorland, among those able to restock thanks to the generosity of others.
Basically, there's about 10 of us outside working all day, every day, just getting cold and wet, and we're needing to change into dry clothes because the last thing we want is to get ill on top of it.
Bryony Sadler helped set up all this relief effort. Her home flooded in Moorland weeks ago. Life in temporary accommodation is taking its toll.
It's all right until the middle of the night, till this little girl here wakes up screaming because she wants to go home. And that sends me off, and then I'm in floods of tears, and the other night we had Daddy in floods of tears as well.
Brownie doesn't expect to be home in Moorland before Christmas. A new addition to Bridgewater docks this evening, another bright red Dutch pump. In case water levels rise here, we're told it's precautionary. Scott Ellis, BBC Points West.
So when the